What's going on, guys? It's GBP baby. Welcome back to another weekly review and outlook. I hope everybody's doing well. And yeah, I am actually recording this on the Saturday. I have somewhere to be on Sunday, but obviously this will be out on Sunday for you guys to all enjoy. So last week was quite interesting, as I'm sure we all know. We had FOMC, and moving into the new week, we do obviously have some high impact news. So we can go take a look at that now. So here you can see the next week, starting Monday the 25th of March, and you can see that we have high impact news on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, not Wednesday for the USD, Thursday and Friday, which is quite interesting. So Wednesday, I am going to expect quite a lot of consolidation. Yes, we have high impact news for Euro, but generally speaking, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a lot of movement on the Monday and Tuesday, especially, and then Thursday and Friday finish the week with movement as well. It is very typical for weeks to be like this when you'll have high impact news on the Monday and Tuesday. And then Wednesday will just be like a lot of consolidation. Then Thursday will again continue for the rest of the day, running into Fridays. Running into Friday with a lot of volatility. So next week should be interesting to say the least. And now we can get back to the charts. And I'm going to be starting on the monthly on dollar. So you'll see I do still have my eyes set on this bearish order block on the monthly as a target. So I'm going to get this delineated, as I do believe price is slowly making its way up towards this level. So I'm going to just type out monthly bearish order block. And I'll just put that on the right like so. As I do believe this is our draw for dollar to trade higher. That means that I am expecting February's high to get taken out. Now this is the last week of March, so I'm not necessarily expecting. It would be interesting to see if we can take out this high. But at least, generally speaking, at least we have a directional bias as to where we want to see price trade. So let's now go to the weekly, and you'll see how much of a big week we had last week. We traded lower and then aggressively higher, running out all of these stops and trading into this rejection block level. Now, as we trade up to this monthly bearish order block, you'll also see that there's a massive bearish weekly order block as well. But our target is going to be the bearish order block on the monthly, which is 50% off this weekly block, as you can see. So that's mean threshold. So I'm not going to draw out another level because it's pretty much the same level that I'm looking at, but I am looking at this swing high from February the 12th from that week to get taken. So I can draw that out for buy side liquidity like so, and this is going to be my draw on liquidity in the new week, as I am expecting another up close week. As we're trading up to this buy side liquidity, I do want to bring our attention as well to the 50% level off this long wick. This is what we call consequent encroachment, and what you may find is that price may find a little bit of resistance at this level. So I'm just going to have it dashed on our screens throughout the week, just so we can see how price treats it, because although price can trade right through it and just ignore it, it's likely that we'll find some level of resistance at it and then maybe trade lower and then attack it and trade up into that buy side liquidity. So it's just best to have it marked out for us so that we're not hit by a surprise if we get some kind of intermediate reversal or something, and then we can type out weekly consequent encroachment like so. And yeah, and if you remember last week, you'll remember me speaking about this fair value gap, this implied fair value gap delivered to the downside, and you can see how we've traded aggressively through that now and closed above it. Alexa, stop. So this implied fair value gap should now act as an implied inversion fair value gap. So I'm going to write implied inversion fair value gap, because as far as I'm concerned, if price is to return back to this range, we should find support on top of it. I am actually going to make this black, or we'll make it like a grey, because like I said, if price is going to retrace, it will likely retrace to this level, and this is where I'm expecting it to find support for us to then trade higher into our buy side liquidity target and start working towards that monthly bearish order block. So this implied inversion fair value gap is the lowest I want to see price trade in the new week. If we trade through it aggressively, I'd simply go up to the higher time frame, as in I'll go up to the monthly and I'll start looking to where price may be drawing to. But you can also see that this implied inversion fair value gap also lines up with this implied fair value gap on the monthly as well. Also on the weekly, you'll see another slight fair value gap right here, and you'll see how it all overlaps with one another. So these are all reasons why I expect price to find support at this level if we are to start retracing, which we likely will. And this is again the lowest I want to see price trade. This large down close week as well, this will act as a bullish order block. So if price does trade back into the inversion fair value gap, this is something else that should be providing support for higher prices, because now that we've closed above these candles, this last down close candle should act as an order block. More so like a propulsion block, as in when we, for example, when we traded down into this bullish order block a few weeks back, when we traded down, you can see the reaction we had off of it. So the same should happen with this bullish order block, assuming we are bullish. If price trades back down into it, we should expect a continuation to the upside. So that's just something to take note of moving into the new week. But overall, I want to see an up close week, meaning that I want to see I want to see the low get created earlier on in the week, preferably Monday or Tuesday. And then I'd like to see the high get made on Thursday running into Friday. So let's now go to the daily, and you can see how those levels are still delineated. And what you'll find is that the weekly consequent encroachment lines up nicely just about with this volume imbalance. Now I do believe price is going to find resistance at this level as well. I'm going to make this blue. And this is what we call a volume imbalance, because you can see there's no volume in that block right there. So we can just write volume imbalance. And I do believe price is going to want to draw up to that. It's very possible as well that Monday may see us trade higher and trade into that volume imbalance, and then we start seeing the low get created. So that is something to take note of moving into the new week. I tend not to trade Mondays, but depending if price does what I want it to do, and that would be trading up to that volume imbalance. If we start seeing a reaction lower, so a reversal at this consequent encroachment and volume imbalance, I'd then start looking for shorts with an expectation to start aiming for this implied inversion fair value gap and these previous swing highs in general. So moving into the new week, I wouldn't be surprised. Like I said, I doubt we're going to just trade lower straight away. I'd like to think that we can just tap up into that imbalance and then trade lower, and then maybe for the rest of the week start running up to that buy side liquidity. Let's go to the 4 hour, and you'll see price again. And again, another reason I'm expecting us to reach into this imbalance is, one, there's a bearish order block right here, and two, these bullish order blocks that we're seeing on the way up, for example, this huge one here, this one here, this should provide support. So I don't really want to see this give way until we've traded to this imbalance. If this does give way, I simply expect us again to come to this inversion fair value gap where we will get a reversal. But moving into the new week, like I said, preferably this will provide the strength price needs in order just to push it one more time into that consequent encroachment, create a swing high, and then we can start thinking about low prices, and then we have a nice fair value gap just above the implied inversion fair value gap from the weekly. Let's just make sure it's clear that this is a weekly PD array. So yeah, that's what I have my eyes set on. We'll go on the hourly. This is going to be the lowest time frame I go to for now. And you'll see again, bullish order block. We just closed, just tapping into it. So that's another reason I'd like to think that it can provide the support we need to trade higher. Again, it can give way, but preferably it doesn't. Just because I'd like to think that a part of the manipulation will be creating a high, then the low of the week, and then trading higher, running out the stops that it's going to engineer here. But there's only so much we can predict so early on in the week. Well, before the week's even started, and obviously we don't know and never know how Sunday is going to trade. So that's just something to take note of. But moving into Monday, I am expecting us to stay just in general between this range. I'd like to think that we can stay within this range moving into Monday. And then, like I said, as Tuesday and Wednesday progresses, then we can start thinking about potential for higher prices, running into the buy side liquidity above this swing high. And like I said, working our way towards that monthly bearish order block, where we also have this huge void on the 4 hour to fill as well. So it should be pretty low resistance once we get above this buy side liquidity. So that's everything on dollar. I hope that all makes sense. We can now head over to GBP. So we're going to start on the monthly on GBP as well. And you can see how GBP managed to run out all of these stops above here, trading into a rejection level. Ooh. So that means all of those buy stops have now been grabbed, and you can see the massive reaction we had off that. And now we can again start working our way down towards this huge monthly imbalance. So there's a fair value gap down here on the monthly, as you can see. And I do believe price is going to want to start drawing its way into that. Whether 50% of that is also going to be significant, so we can get that drawn out. But yeah, generally speaking, I'd like to think that we can see a continuation to the downside and start seeing December's low getting targeted as a sell side target. So we can write sell side liquidity below that. We'll make it a little bit thicker. And I'm not going to put this huge box on because it's just going to distract me on the lower time frames. But we know that price is drawing to sell side liquidity. Realistically, all we need to know is where price is going. and then we can be comfortable, which is why I just need to know that this is where price is going. And then once we go to the lower time frames, we can identify some PD arrays that we're likely trading to. So let's go down to the weekly, and you'll see now we have this bearish order block. As soon as this week closed below here, this should now act as a bearish order block. So what we can actually do is we can draw out this level as it's a open, and we can write bearish, weekly bearish order block. And as if price does manage to retrace back into that in the new week, we know that we can look for sells around that level with the expectation to then run for this sell side liquidity. What you'll also find is that there's relative equal lows below this low and these lows. So again, there's going to be a lot of stops down there that price is going to be drawing to in general for then smart money to release. And we have a nice weekly fair value gap right below here, which is inside of that monthly fair value gap I was talking about. So I will keep this one drawn on the charts, as this may be a draw on liquidity for pound in the new week. And then we can write weekly fair value gap. I just realized, let's just get this. Oh, excuse me. And this is going to be a monthly. Oh no, wait, sorry. This is, yeah, this is monthly sell side liquidity. Okay, cool. So we don't need to define that. But yeah, generally speaking, you can see we closed lower, very bearish. We traded higher last week, and then obviously started distributing lower with FOMC, running out these lows. And you can see bullish PD arrays are now being disrespected. So for example, this is a bullish order block. And now that we've closed below it, it's being disrespected. This shouldn't have happened if we were bullish, meaning that we should now start thinking about looking for bearish PD arrays to be traded to. Hence, I want this sell side liquidity to get traded to and this imbalance to be traded to as well. Now, once we go to the daily, you can see that weekly order block level right here, which also lines up with a breaker because we have a swing high, a low, a higher high, and then price is delivered nicely to the downside. So I'm looking at this candle as well, this last down close candle. I'm not going to draw it out just because I don't want my charts to be too messy. But generally speaking, again, if we do retrace, which we likely will to an extent, we should start looking for shorts inside of this down close candle with the expectation to run for these relative equal lows and into that nice weekly fair value gap we have below there. Now, the daily is not really offering much clearance right now. One thing I do want to bring our attention to though is that this swing low right here from this candle on Tuesday, you can see we've rebalanced that. So this candle traded higher into this wick. As far as I'm concerned, price shouldn't need to go back above this level at all in the new week. We also have a gap here, but I'd like to see this left open as that can act as a breakaway gap for us to continue lower. So like I said, yes, I want to see some kind of retracement. This is the very highest I want to see price go. And then again, I'll start looking for shorts on pound for the rest of the week. So let's go to the 4 hour and you'll see there's a nice bearish order block right here. You'll see there's already some fair value gaps here and here that price may want to retrace into. And yeah, I'm not really going to mark much outs out because it's pretty clear. But again, if we're expecting the high to be made on Monday or Tuesday, probably Tuesday, we might see some more downward price action first and then a retracement when I'd then expect at least like this high or some engineered highs to get taken out for us to start looking for shorts. So let's go to the 1 hour real quick. Again, quite a weird price action in general, but this low here, which is going to act as a breaker, lined up with the weekly bearish order block, is the highest I want to see price trade. So we have a high, a low, a higher high, and then price is delivered to the downside. So there is a very high probability that price may want to draw all the way up here. So when we do see that rally, there's nothing to fear. We know where it's likely going to, and we know where we can expect some kind of reversal depending on the time and date. So yeah, that's everything on pound. I hope that all makes sense. Obviously, like I said, I tend to wait for Monday to trade first just to get an idea, and then we can get more specific. But yeah, there's only so much we can say at this point. Again, Sunday still needs to trade, and then obviously Monday we'll see what happens. But overall, we know that we want to see the week expand to the downside, which means that as soon as we see any rallies above opening price on Sunday, that's when we should be thinking about or expecting some kind of reversal to form for the rest of the week. So now we can go into Euro to finish off. And we'll start on the monthly here as well. And you'll see right now we wicked above last month, failed to take out December's high, which is what pound did. So I guess there's more weakness in euro that may suggest. And in terms of euros targeting, well, we can start looking at February's low, but also the midpoint of Feb. So the consequent encroachment of February's month is going to be again a level of resistance that we may find, well, support, but as in we might find resistance when we get to this level. So we'll get that drawn out. And then we also obviously have the low to target as well for sell side liquidity. And then we can write monthly consequent encroachment. And then once we drop down to the weekly, we can get a better look at price. So here you can see we've traded lower, closing below this low. This is going to act the same way as the bearish order block I just spoke about on pound is. So we can draw this level out as a weekly bearish order block. And again, this is going to be the highest I expect price to trade in the new week, with the expectation to then trade lower, running for that consequent encroachment, taking out this week, this low, and again hitting that consequent encroachment level. So let's just write weekly bearish order block. Put that on the right, on the center, and then we can drop down to the daily and get a better look at price. So again, beautiful displacement to the downside. We have a breaker here. We've got a low, high, lower low, and then we broke higher. And when I say low here, I'm just looking at this as an up close candle. So this is a swing right here, which is why I'm now watching this last down close candle, which lines up perfectly with that weekly bearish order block as a level that we can anticipate some kind of reversal or turnaround to appear for us to then run into these lows here and again hit that monthly consequent encroachment. What you'll also find is there's relatively equal lows below here now on the daily level. And like I was saying on dollar, if dollar does trade higher first, let me go to dollar. So if dollar does trade into that volume imbalance, we'll likely witness euro trading lower first and then turning around to create a high and then reaching lower towards this consequent encroachment. This consequent encroachment also lines up with an implied fair value gap between here and here, but there's an inversion fair value gap as well. So I'm going to just draw this out like that, and I would like to see price eventually trade down into that. But I wouldn't be surprised if we traded lower first before trading higher, before trading lower. I hope this all makes sense. And you can see there's a lot of news on euro as well next week, so it'll be quite interesting. They got the inflation rate. It'll be quite interesting to see how euro delivers. So on the 4 hour, you can see that we have quite a few bearish order blocks, which should continue to get respected until we see some kind of retracement. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw lower prices first, until we then saw a kind of reversal around Tuesday or Wednesday to create the high, and then start delivering towards that fair value gap I was talking about below here, and that monthly consequent encroachment. But yeah, it should be an interesting week. Again, you can see a breaker, high, low, higher high. And what you'll notice is I use this low, even though this wick is lower than this wick. The reason I use this low is because volume is lower than this volume. So I'm using this low to create the swing for the breaker. So we've got a high, a low, a higher high, and then price is delivered to the downside. So I'm watching this candle here, which lines up nicely with that weekly bearish order block, as a shorting opportunity in the new week for us to run down towards this monthly consequent encroachment. But yeah, Monday price action should be very interesting, and obviously Sunday. Definitely don't rush into the charts. You never should do that anyway. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw lower prices first before we saw a reversal. When we see that rally though above that Sunday opening, so I highly suggest you get that Sunday open marked out for the whole week. Once you start rallying above that Sunday open, then we can start thinking about setups for shorting positions and just shorts in general to expand down into our sell side targets. So that's going to be everything, guys. I hope you found this insightful. If you have any comments, make sure to drop it in the comment section. I answer to all of them. Smash the like button, smash the subscribe button. Join me on Discord. I am active there pretty much always, 24/7. You can always message me in there. And then follow me on Instagram as well, at itsgbpbaby. That's going to be everything, guys, for now, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Peace.